What if your life is following a code you've never seen? Every choice you make, every thought you have shaped by invisible rules written deep into reality. Once you notice them, you can't unsee them. The mirror code. Imagine for a moment that the world is watching you, reflecting back your deepest thoughts, emotions, and desires. What if every interaction, every moment, every glance in the mirror is not just a random event, but a direct response to the energy you're emitting into the world? This idea, subtle yet profound, suggests that reality around us is much more than meets the eye. Have you ever entered a room full of people and immediately felt uncomfortable, as if the entire space was responding to something inside of you? Or, on the other hand, walked into a situation with confidence and noticed that things seemed to flow effortlessly? This isn't coincidence. This is the mirror code, a hidden rule of life that shapes everything you experience. It goes beyond the idea that like attracts like. It's not simply about positive thoughts attracting positive outcomes. The mirror code tells us that the world you see, the people you interact with, and even the experiences that seem to appear out of nowhere are all reflections of your inner world. The very essence of your beliefs, your emotions, your sense of self-worth. They create vibrations that ripple through the universe and draw matching experiences toward you. Consider this. How do you feel about yourself on a given day? How does that affect your interactions? When you walk into a room, do you feel as if others are projecting their judgments onto you? Or are you projecting your own beliefs, fears, and expectations onto them? This is the mirror code at play. When you change your internal world, the external world starts to mirror that change back to you. Your relationships, your work, your very environment, they all reflect how you perceive yourself. What happens when you change the way you see yourself? What if the key to transforming your reality lies not in waiting for external change, but in shifting your perception of yourself? Think of your interactions as mirrors. When you approach someone with distrust, do they reflect that back at you? What about when you approach someone with kindness, openness, and warmth? What do you see? These subtle shifts are the reflections of your internal world. What you project internally is what gets reflected externally. But there's another layer to this paradox. The mirror code isn't just about how you perceive others. It's also about how you see yourself, how you treat yourself, how you view your strengths and weaknesses, how you view your purpose in life. These become the lens through which the world is filtered. This code is not about what happens to you. It's about how you react to what's happening. And in that reaction lies your power. You are the creator of your reality, not by controlling the events around you, but by changing the way you interact with them, by changing the way you see them. Now, pause for a moment and reflect on this. Have you ever been in a situation where your internal mindset shifted, and suddenly, the circumstances around you started aligning with that change? Maybe you started believing in your own worth, and suddenly, others began recognizing it too. Or perhaps you began to trust the process of life, and, almost magically, life began to unfold with ease and synchronicity. That quote, as the mirror code. That's the universe showing you the reflection of your internal world. When you change the energy you bring to every interaction, every situation, you begin to see the world shift in response. It, quote, as not magic. It's simply the code that governs how reality works. But what if the world you see right now is a reflection of your past beliefs and fears? What if you could look into the mirror and change what you see by changing your thoughts, your self-perception, and your inner dialogue? The mirror code teaches us that every moment, every interaction, and every experience is an opportunity to recalibrate the reflection we see. It's not about controlling everything outside of us, but about mastering our own internal world, and in doing so, transforming the world around us. Imagine waking up tomorrow with the belief that the world around you is not separate from you, but a direct reflection of what you carry inside. What would change? How would you interact with others? What would your new reality look like if you saw everything around you as a mirror of your inner growth? The noise code. Have you ever been in a crowded room, surrounded by chatter, music, and distractions, and felt like the noise was almost suffocating you? The overwhelming volume of life, with all its external pressures, thoughts, and demands, can sometimes feel like it's drowning out the essence of who we truly are. But what if this noise isn't just random? What if there's a hidden code, a pattern in the chaos, guiding everything around us? This is the noise code, a rule of existence that suggests the noise of our lives isn't just a collection of meaningless distractions. In fact, it might be more significant than we think. Every conversation, every argument, every sound that seems to pierce the air is a vibration, a signal that carries meaning. But the real question is, are you able to listen to what's beneath the noise, or are you so consumed by it that you lose sight of its deeper message? The world bombards us with an endless stream of noise. From the hum of machines to the constant pull of notifications, we live in an age where silence seems more like a luxury than a necessity. Yet, this is the very noise that shapes our thoughts, behaviors, and decisions. Think of the noise in your life right now. Whether it's the chatter of social media, the demands of work, or the constant thoughts racing in your mind, all of it creates a kind of mental fog. It's like trying to hear a melody through a blaring radio. The signals we're meant to receive, the answers we're seeking, are lost in the chaos. But here's the paradox. The noise might actually be the key to clarity. Just like in a room full of static, if you tune into the right frequency, you can find the signal hidden beneath it all. This might sound counterintuitive, but the noise code teaches us that in the overwhelming hustle of life, there are messages to be found. Every interruption, every chaotic moment, is a chance to understand something deeper about ourselves. It's the tension between noise and silence that creates the opportunity for growth. Ever noticed how when you're alone in a quiet place, your mind starts to get louder? The constant inner chatter intensifies. It's almost as if the silence brings forth your deepest thoughts, fears, and desires. That's the noise code at work. It's about what you do when the noise dies down. It's not about avoiding the chaos, but understanding it. The key to mastering this code is learning how to find clarity amidst the noise. By acknowledging the noise without letting it control you, you begin to see patterns in the madness, messages in the distraction, and signals in the chaos. But it's not just external noise we need to pay attention to. Have you ever caught yourself thinking about something, even when you don't want to, or suddenly remembering something from your past that you didn't expect? That's your internal noise speaking. It's the collection of memories, desires, fears, and assumptions we carry with us every day. And just like the external noise, it can either guide us or drown us out. So how do you deal with the noise, both outside and inside? The answer is simple. Listen. Learn to tune into the frequencies that truly matter, and filter out the distractions that lead you away from your purpose. Imagine for a moment. What if the noise you've been avoiding is exactly the message you need to hear? What if your anxiety, your restlessness, and even your stress are the very things guiding you toward the life you're meant to live? The noise code tells us that we can't silence the world, but we can learn to listen to the right parts of it. By embracing the noise and discerning what it's trying to teach us, we find clarity, we find meaning. The 88th code. What if your entire life could be transformed by following one simple ratio? A secret rule hidden in plain sight that could bring you balance, focus, and productivity like you've never imagined before. The 88th code is a concept that suggests that success isn't just about hard work, but also about knowing when to push forward and when to rest. It's a guiding principle that can change everything, from how you approach your career to how you manage your time. At the core of the 88's code lies a deceptively simple idea. Spend 80% of your time working on high-priority tasks, those that move the needle in your life, whether in your career, personal growth, or passion projects. This time should be deeply focused and intentional. The other 8% is for rest, recovery, and rejuvenation. That's right. Just 8% of your day should be dedicated to recharging, whether it's through sleep, meditation, or other activities that help reset your mind and body. Think of this rule as a cycle, a dance between exertion and relaxation. The 80% is the time when you pour your energy into your dreams, goals, and ambitions. It's about being fully immersed in whatever you're working on, whether that's a major project or a smaller, more routine task. During this time, you give it your all. Your mind is sharp, your focus is laser-focused, and you feel the satisfaction of progress. It's the time when you're most productive, most inspired, and most connected to your purpose. But here's the catch. That 20%, the 8% downtime, is equally crucial. It's not just about getting more sleep. It's about genuinely stepping away from the grind. This time gives you the chance to recover both mentally and physically, to reconnect with yourself and the world around you. You step away from work to do something that fills you up again. This could be a hobby, spending time with loved ones, or even just walking outside and breathing in fresh air. If you spend too much time focused on your goals without ever allowing yourself to rest, you risk burnout. On the flip side, if you take too much time off without actively working toward your dreams, you fall behind. The 88's code creates harmony between action and recovery. It ensures that you don't push yourself too hard, but also that you don't waste time being idle. How do you balance your time now? Are you spending the majority of your hours doing tasks that bring you closer to your life's vision? Or are you bogged down with distractions and other time drainers? The 88's code helps you recognize where you can adjust and realign your priorities. It's not just about working harder. It's about working smarter and living a more meaningful life. The power of this ratio is that it forces you to consciously dedicate time to what truly matters. It teaches you how to take a step back, recharge, and then dive back in with renewed energy. You won't just work harder, you'll work in a way that's sustainable and fulfilling. It's about shifting your mindset to embrace the importance of balance, that we need both focus and rest in order to thrive. Imagine applying this to your workday. Let's say you're spending 80% of your day focused on impactful tasks. The remaining 8% is for you to refresh and recharge, whether that's taking a walk, meditating, or simply resting. It sounds simple, but when done consistently, this shift can elevate your productivity and mental clarity in ways you might not expect. How many times have you worked tirelessly for weeks, only to hit a mental wall and find yourself unable to get anything done? That's what happens when the 88's code is ignored. When you push yourself without taking time for recovery, you exhaust yourself, both mentally and physically. The 88's code ensures that you don't hit that wall because it integrates rest as part of the plan for success. Now, what if you could apply this ratio in your life? Picture it. You spend 80% of your time deeply focused on the things that matter to you, and then you take time to rest and recharge. The beauty of the 88's code is that it helps you avoid burnout, maintain focus, and achieve your goals more effectively than ever before. How do you structure your daily routine? Do you find that you take enough time to rest, or are you pushing yourself too hard? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The simulation loop code. Have you ever felt like your life is repeating itself in a never-ending cycle? That feeling, where no matter how much you try to change, things seem to fall back into the same patterns. This might just be the effect of the simulation loop code, a hidden rule that governs the way we experience life and the choices we make. The simulation loop code is based on the concept that we're trapped in a cycle, not just in the literal sense, but in our thought patterns and actions. It's like living in a simulation where the loop keeps playing out over and over again. You might think you've moved forward, only to find that you're stuck in familiar situations, dealing with the same problems, facing the same choices. The paradox here is that despite our best efforts, we often find ourselves looping back to the beginning, where nothing has truly changed. At the heart of this code is the idea that we are living in a system of feedback loops. Every action we take, every decision we make, creates a feedback loop that shapes our future actions. It's like programming a simulation. We make choices, but those choices come with their own consequences, leading to more choices, which again lead to consequences. And because we're constantly responding to these loops, it's hard to break free. It's as if we're players in a game who don't realize that the game itself is designed to keep us within the same parameters, no matter how hard we try to push beyond them. The simulation loop code plays out in many aspects of life. One of the most common is our approach to problems. When we encounter challenges, we typically fall back on the same solutions. Even if these solutions haven't worked in the past, we try them again, thinking that this time will be different. But if we don't change our mindset or approach, the loop will continue. This is the essence of the loop. We are constantly cycling through the same patterns without realizing we have the power to break them. Take your career, for example. You may find yourself working tirelessly in a job you don't truly enjoy. But because you're constantly caught in the loop of earning money, paying bills, and trying to keep up with societal expectations, it becomes difficult to imagine an alternative. You're stuck in a loop that feels like it's almost impossible to escape, even though you know that change is possible. The simulation loop code keeps you locked in, repeating the same experiences over and over without the clarity to break free. Even more subtle, though, is how this loop affects our decisions. We often make choices based on past experiences, but when we do this without reevaluating our goals or desires, we are simply continuing the loop. We seek comfort in familiarity, choosing what is known rather than venturing into the unknown. Yet, this very habit of choosing comfort ensures that the loop continues. The mind tricks us into thinking that change is a linear progression, that if we just keep pushing forward, we'll eventually escape the loop. But in reality, true change requires a radical shift in perspective. It's not about doing more of the same. It's about breaking the cycle entirely. The simulation loop code operates on a level so subtle that we don't even notice it happening. We get caught in the cycle of thinking we need to solve the same problems, use the same methods, and approach life in the same way. Only when we truly step back and reevaluate our mindset can we begin to free ourselves from the loop. The most fascinating part of this code is that we hold the key to breaking free. We just don't realize it. The power lies in our ability to step outside of our habitual thinking and embrace uncertainty. When we begin to recognize the loops we're trapped in, we can start to question them. We can explore new ways of thinking, new approaches, and new paths that weren't previously visible to us. The moment we start to question the simulation, we begin to break its rules. So, the next time you find yourself facing the same old problems, ask yourself, am I stuck in the simulation loop? Notice the patterns in your life and how you react to them. The simulation loop code only exists because you continue to play by the same rules. But the moment you step outside that loop, everything can change. The observer code. Imagine you're watching a movie, completely immersed in the plot. The characters, the scenery, and every twist and turn draw you in. But then, for a brief moment, you realize something strange. You are the one watching, not acting. You step out of the narrative and become the observer. Suddenly, everything changes. The movie isn't just a movie anymore. It's a reflection of your own thoughts, your own perceptions. This is where the observer code comes into play. The idea that we, as humans, don't just experience reality. We shape it with our very act of observing it. At its core, the observer code suggests that our perceptions are not passive. They are actively involved in creating the reality we experience. It's not enough to simply see things as they are. By observing them, we influence them. This paradox is rooted in the philosophy of quantum mechanics, where the observer effect describes how the very act of measuring or observing a system can alter its state. The observer isn't just an external bystander. They are a participant in the story of reality itself. Now, let's think about how this plays out in our everyday lives. We tend to believe that the world exists independently of us. Objects are there, people act the way they do, and events unfold whether we're watching or not. But what if our consciousness, the very act of observing, is what shapes how these things appear to us? The Observer Code argues that we, in fact, are not separate from reality, but intrinsically connected to it. And our perception of the world around us is as much a creation of our mind as it is an objective reality. Take your relationships, for instance. How we observe and interpret the actions of others deeply influences how we react to them. If you're constantly focused on someone's flaws, you're likely to perceive them in a negative light, and this shapes how you interact with them. On the other hand, if you choose to focus on their positive traits, you might find that your connection with them grows stronger. In both cases, the reality of your relationship is influenced by the way you observe and interpret the other person. This is a powerful example of the Observer Code at work. Our reality is not an objective truth, but a reflection of the way we perceive it. The Observer Code also manifests in the way we experience time. For most of us, time seems like a fixed, linear flow. One moment follows another in an inevitable progression. But when we stop to observe our experience of time, we begin to realize that it's not as straightforward as it seems. Our experience of time can stretch or contract depending on how we're focusing on it. A long wait in a doctor's office feels endless, while an afternoon spent with friends can seem to fly by. In both situations, time is moving at the same rate, but our perception of it is altered by how we observe it. This phenomenon doesn't just apply to time and relationships. It extends to the way we approach our goals and dreams. Often, our belief that something is unattainable shapes our efforts and discourages us from trying. If you observe your goals through a lens of self-doubt or limitation, you might find yourself stuck, unable to take the necessary steps to move forward. The Observer Code teaches us that by shifting our perspective, we can change how we experience obstacles, making them less daunting and more within our reach. The observer, in this case, has the power to transform the path ahead simply by changing how they perceive it. It is crucial to understand that the Observer Code doesn't mean we can manipulate reality at will. However, it suggests that by becoming more aware of how we observe, we can better shape our experiences. What we see isn't just a reflection of what's out there. It's also shaped by the lens through which we view it. This code reveals a profound truth. The reality we experience is not entirely separate from us, but is intimately intertwined with our perceptions and beliefs. One of the most profound implications of the Observer Code is that we, as observers, are not passive participants in the universe. Our thoughts, perceptions, and emotions influence the way we experience the world around us. This gives us a tremendous amount of power, not in the sense of controlling the external world, but in shaping how we experience it. By becoming conscious of our observations and how they influence our reality, we can begin to live in a more intentional way, crafting experiences that align more closely with our true desires. The Decay Code. Have you ever been caught in a moment of waiting, feeling like time is stretching endlessly before you? You check the clock, only to find that only a few minutes have passed, yet it feels like hours. This is the essence of the Decay Code, the phenomenon where time seems to distort and slow down during moments of waiting or anticipation. It's as if your mind enters a different state, and the passage of time becomes warped, as if the universe itself is pressing pause. But why does this happen? Why do we experience time differently in these moments? At the heart of the delay code lies the idea that anticipation affects our perception of time. When we're waiting for something important, whether it's a phone call, an event, or even an outcome we've been striving for, our brains focus intently on the future. This heightened sense of focus seems to distort our experience of the present, making time feel elongated and drawn out. It's as if our minds are so fixated on what's to come that they lose track of the present moment, causing us to feel like we're stuck in a time loop of endless waiting. Interestingly, the delay code also connects to the concept of impatience. When we desire something deeply, we want it right away, and when we don't get it, we experience a form of psychological discomfort. This impatience magnifies the feeling of delay. The more we want something, the more our focus on the delay intensifies, turning what might have been a short wait into an agonizing stretch of time. It's like watching a kettle slowly come to a boil. The longer you wait, the more you focus on the wait itself, and the slower it feels. But here's the twist. The delay code isn't just about the moments when we're waiting for something external. It's also about how we perceive delays within ourselves. For example, think about the way you experience growth or progress in your life. When you set a goal, whether it's learning a new skill, advancing in your career, or even improving your health, there's often a long period of waiting before you see tangible results. During this time, the delay can feel overwhelming, as if progress is out of reach. The delay code explains that this perception of stagnation is tied to the way our brains track time and progress. We often focus so much on the end result that we fail to notice the incremental growth happening right under our noses. This is where the delay code reveals a hidden opportunity. If we learn to embrace the waiting period rather than resist it, we can shift our experience of time altogether. Instead of seeing delay as a negative experience, we can choose to see it as a space of growth and preparation. Think of it as a seed planted in the soil. You can't rush its growth, but with patience and attention, it will eventually sprout. The same is true for our own personal journeys. The delays, the waiting, the moments of feeling like nothing is happening, they are all part of the process. We can use these moments to reflect, reassess, and prepare ourselves for the next steps. Moreover, the delay code teaches us the value of living in the present moment. While it's natural to focus on what's ahead, we can often miss the richness of the now when we're too focused on the future. When we stop to acknowledge and appreciate the small moments during a wait, a breath, a thought, an observation, we allow ourselves to exist fully in the present, making the delay feel less like a waiting game and more like an opportunity to experience life in its fullness. The paradox here is that while delay often feels uncomfortable, it's precisely in these pauses where growth happens. When we step back from the impatience and frustration, we can see that the delay wasn't time wasted at all. It was time invested in the journey. So, the next time you're caught in the grip of waiting, remember, the delay code isn't just about time dragging on. It's about the opportunity to be present, to grow, and to shift your perspective on the process of becoming. The fractal behavior code. Imagine you're looking at a snowflake, its symmetrical pattern repeating over and over, even as you zoom in on smaller sections. Or picture a tree whose branches mimic the shape of the entire tree, or the way a coastline seems to follow the same jagged pattern, regardless of how close you get. These are examples of fractals, complex structures that repeat similar patterns at different scales. But what if I told you that this same pattern applies not only to nature, but to your behavior and the way you live your life? Enter the fractal behavior code. At first glance, this might sound abstract, but the reality is that our lives exhibit fractal-like patterns more often than we realize. Every decision you make, every relationship you cultivate, every goal you set, these all seem to replicate certain aspects of previous experiences. The actions you take today are often reflections of past behaviors, and when you zoom out, you can begin to see patterns emerging from seemingly unrelated events. Just like a fractal, these patterns don't vanish when you look closer. They persist and replicate over time. The fractal behavior code suggests that your personal habits and tendencies are not isolated incidents, but rather are part of a larger pattern that repeats itself. For example, you might find yourself reacting in similar ways to challenges in your career, relationships, or personal life, no matter how different the circumstances seem. If you've ever noticed a repetitive cycle in your life, a pattern of success followed by failure, or a series of similar problems showing up in different areas, you're witnessing the fractal behavior code in action. Now, this doesn't mean you're doomed to repeat mistakes endlessly. The beauty of the fractal behavior code is that it can reveal both the positive and negative patterns you create. Just as fractals can form beautiful, harmonious shapes, your behaviors can lead to positive outcomes when you recognize and refine them. For example, if you've developed a habit of setting small, achievable goals and slowly progressing toward your bigger dreams, you may find that this pattern continues to help you achieve success over time. The more you repeat these positive behaviors, the more they build on each other, creating a fractal-like loop of progress. However, it also works in the opposite direction. If you tend to procrastinate, avoid conflict, or make rash decisions, these behaviors will also continue to repeat themselves, creating a cycle that's hard to break. Recognizing these patterns in your life is the first step toward understanding how they influence your reality. By zooming in on the small moments of your life, you can spot the underlying fractal patterns that are shaping your experiences, whether you realize it or not. And from there, you can start to reprogram them, breaking the negative cycles and amplifying the positive ones. At its core, the fractal behavior code is a reminder that everything you do is connected, and that even the smallest actions can have far-reaching consequences. Every decision is a ripple that creates a larger wave of impact, just like the way a tiny shift in a fractal pattern can change its entire form. So, how do you use this to your advantage? It all comes down to being mindful of the patterns you create in your life. If you want to cultivate more success, happiness, or fulfillment, start by looking for the fractal-like patterns in your daily choices, thoughts, and habits. For instance, if you're stuck in a negative loop, ask yourself, what small, seemingly insignificant behaviors are contributing to this pattern? It might be a tendency to avoid uncomfortable conversations, or a habit of putting things off until tomorrow. By interrupting these small, repetitive actions and replacing them with more productive or positive behaviors, you can begin to shift the entire fractal of your life. Even the tiniest changes, when repeated over time, can create profound transformations. The fascinating thing about the fractal behavior code is that it gives you control over the patterns of your life. By becoming aware of how your actions repeat themselves on different scales, you can consciously break free from the destructive cycles and create new, healthier ones. Like any fractal, the more you zoom in on these patterns, the more they reveal their complexity, and the more empowered you become to change them. The choice illusion code. Have you ever stood in front of a store shelf, overwhelmed by the sheer number of options, only to walk away feeling uncertain about your decision? Or perhaps you've spent hours debating whether to make a major life decision, like choosing a career path or moving to a new city, only to realize that in the end, you didn't really have as many choices as you thought. This is the essence of the choice illusion code. The idea that we often believe we have infinite freedom in our choices, when in reality, our options may be more limited than we think. At its core, the choice illusion code is about the illusion of freedom in decision-making. We're often told that the more options we have, the more control we have over our lives. But research shows that an overabundance of choice can actually lead to more anxiety and dissatisfaction. The choice illusion code operates on the belief that many of our decisions, while seemingly free and open-ended, are influenced by underlying factors we may not even be aware of. These factors could include societal expectations, past experiences, or even subtle nudges from the environment around us. For example, think about a time when you were faced with several possible options, maybe different career opportunities or relationships. On the surface, you believed that you were freely choosing one path over another. However, when you looked deeper, you might have realized that your decision was heavily influenced by outside pressures. Perhaps one job seemed more respectable, or one person seemed like a better fit based on external criteria rather than genuine preference. You may have convinced yourself that you were making the choice that was best for you, but in reality, you were shaped by forces you didn't even consciously acknowledge. This concept also plays out in our day-to-day lives. Take, for instance, shopping for clothes. The more choices you have, the harder it becomes to make a decision, and the more likely you are to experience buyer's remorse or regret your final choice. The choice illusion code is the psychological mechanism that tricks us into thinking that having more options means better outcomes, when in fact, too many choices can often lead to dissatisfaction and indecision. What's fascinating about the choice illusion code is how it can be used to understand why we sometimes feel stuck or overwhelmed, despite our endless options. For example, in our modern world, we're constantly faced with a barrage of choices, from picking the right career to choosing where to eat for dinner. Yet, in many cases, the pressure to make the perfect choice only creates mental and emotional strain. We begin to second-guess ourselves, wondering if there was a better choice we missed, even after the decision is made. This is where the choice illusion code plays its role in shaping our experience of freedom. What's more interesting is that the illusion of choice can also be manipulated. Advertisers, for example, know that providing customers with too many options can lead to choice paralysis, where people feel so overwhelmed that they simply don't buy anything at all. This is why companies often use strategies like limiting options or presenting a limited-time offer to make the choice seem more urgent. It's not about providing more options, but creating the illusion of scarcity to make a decision feel more pressing. This tactic taps directly into our desire for control and autonomy, even when the reality is that we may not have as many choices as we think. Ultimately, the choice illusion code challenges the way we think about freedom. Are we truly free in our decisions, or are we simply navigating a landscape designed to make us think we have more control than we actually do? By becoming aware of this illusion, we can better understand how our choices are shaped by forces outside of our conscious control. Recognizing this pattern allows us to make decisions that are more in tune with our true desires, rather than being influenced by external pressures or illusions of freedom. The hidden rule code. Have you ever wondered how much of what you do on a daily basis is not actually a result of your own conscious decisions, but instead is controlled by invisible rules codes, if you will, that you've never actively agreed to? These codes are the silent architects of your life, dictating your actions, your thoughts, and your interactions without you even realizing it. It's not just about social norms or cultural expectations. It's a deeper level of programming, one that has been passed down through generations, molded into the fabric of society. Consider something as simple as saying please and thank you. Why do we do it? It's not because we necessarily want to, but because we've been taught that it's what's expected of us. It's ingrained in us so deeply that we don't even think about it anymore. It's an example of how we unconsciously follow codes we've never even questioned. From childhood, we're programmed to conform to these rules. Our behavior is shaped by them, and we grow accustomed to living within these boundaries. But what if these invisible rules are keeping us from living our best, most authentic lives? Take a moment to think about how you interact with others. Have you ever noticed how certain things are said or done without a second thought, simply because that's the norm? How much of your personality is shaped by these external pressures? Are you living your life according to your true desires? Or are you simply following a script that was written long before you had a chance to speak? These unspoken expectations and rules define what is considered normal behavior. They make us feel safe, accepted, and part of the collective whole. But do they really serve our unique identities? Now, let's think about how we define success. Society has taught us that success looks a certain way: a stable job, a house, a family, financial stability. We've internalized these goals, believing they're the only path to fulfillment. But who decided that? Why is there an unspoken rule that tells us that this is the correct path? What if success doesn't look like that for you? What if, following these hidden codes, you've been living a life that doesn't align with your true desires? What happens when we start to recognize these hidden rules? The first step is simply acknowledging that they exist. Once we're aware of them, we begin to question their validity. Are they really our beliefs, or are they someone else's? And more importantly, are they the right rules for us? These rules have shaped how we interact with others, how we view the world, and how we perceive ourselves. But what if we could challenge these codes? What if we could rewrite the script? It's only when we start to question these hidden rules that we begin to see their limitations. We start realizing that they were never meant to fit us as individuals. They were designed to fit a system, a collective idea of what's right. These rules tell us to follow the crowd, to be accepted, to live according to the same standards as everyone else. But by doing so, we stifle our true potential. Our individuality gets lost in a sea of conformity. The moment we recognize these invisible codes, we take the first step toward freedom. The real power lies in realizing that you don't have to live by these rules. You have the ability to rewrite the code. You don't have to follow what everyone else is doing. What if you could challenge these rules, break free from them, and create your own path? Imagine being able to live authentically, without constantly checking to see if you fit into the societal mold. The key to this freedom is questioning the assumptions that have been ingrained in you. It's about reclaiming control over your life and deciding that, moving forward, you'll choose your path, not because it's expected of you, but because it's what you truly want. Recognizing and breaking free from these hidden codes can be a long process, but it's one that brings immense freedom. We don't have to conform to the same rules that everyone else follows. In fact, when we begin to write our own rules, we discover parts of ourselves we never knew existed. It's an awakening, a transformation that challenges everything we've been taught to believe about who we should be. At the end of the day, your life is yours to design. And the moment you recognize the hidden codes that have been shaping your decisions, you begin the process of deprogramming yourself. You can free yourself from the influence of others and start living based on your own set of rules. So, the next time you find yourself questioning your actions or your desires, ask yourself, is this my decision, or am I just following a rule that was never meant for me? The Energy Echo Code. Have you ever walked into a room and felt a sudden shift in the atmosphere? The energy changes, and you can almost sense it, like a ripple in the air. This is the Energy Echo Code in action. It's the invisible force that flows from person to person, from room to room, subtly influencing your emotions and reactions, even if you're not aware of it. It's the power of unspoken energy that echoes through the spaces we occupy, shaping our experiences in ways that we can't always control. Whether it's the upbeat vibe in a lively gathering or the tense atmosphere in a heated argument, the energy in the room has a profound impact on how we feel, think, and behave. At its core, the Energy Echo Code suggests that energy is contagious. Just as you can catch a cold, you can also catch emotions, positivity, negativity, stress, joy, without even realizing it. Think about the times when you've walked into a room and felt immediately uplifted by the people there. Maybe it's the laughter, the kindness, or the enthusiasm that fills the space. You might not even know why, but you find yourself mirroring those feelings. On the flip side, think about how draining it feels when you enter a space filled with negativity or tension. You feel the weight of it, and it's hard to shake off. That's the energy echo code in action, creating an invisible web of emotional influence that spreads through the people around you. But here's the catch. This energy is often unintentional. People don't always mean to influence the atmosphere. They might not even be aware of the energy they're emitting, and yet it's still affecting you. The energy echo code operates on a subtle level. It doesn't always announce its presence, but it's constantly working in the background, shaping your thoughts and actions. Have you ever noticed how, after a stressful meeting or a tense interaction, you carry that energy with you for hours? The way you feel is often a direct result of the energy in the space you occupied, even if you didn't consciously recognize it at the time. Now, let's take a moment to consider the energy you're putting out into the world. Have you ever stopped to think about how your own energy is affecting those around you? It could be as simple as a smile, or as impactful as the stress you radiate when you're feeling overwhelmed. The energy echo code works both ways. You are not just an absorber of energy, you are a transmitter too. The energy you send out will ripple and affect others in ways you might not realize. It's a cycle that perpetuates itself, and the more conscious we become of it, the more control we can have over the energy we contribute to our surroundings. So, how can we break free from the negative energy that often surrounds us? Awareness is the first step. By recognizing the power of the energy echo code, we can start to become more mindful of the energy we pick up and the energy we project. If you're in a negative environment, try to consciously shift your mindset. Look for ways to find moments of calm, peace, and positivity. Similarly, if you're feeling good, your positive energy can have a contagious effect on others. By being aware of how your energy influences the world, you gain the ability to create a more intentional, positive impact on the spaces you inhabit. Ultimately, the energy echo code teaches us that we are all interconnected through the invisible exchange of energy. We are not islands, isolated from the emotional currents around us. Whether we like it or not, the energy we emit and absorb influences our lives in profound ways. Recognizing this power is the first step toward mastering it. By becoming aware of the energy echo code, you not only change how you interact with others, but also how you shape your own reality. The decay code. Everything decays. It's an inevitable part of life, yet we often try to resist it. From the crumbling of old buildings to the fading of memories, decay is an undeniable truth that exists in every part of our world. The decay code operates as a universal rule that shapes how everything evolves, how objects break down, how time erodes even the most solid of foundations, and how we as humans experience the passage of time. This process of decay isn't just physical, it's mental, emotional, and even spiritual, as we watch people, ideas, and systems change, fade, and eventually fade away. At its most basic level, the decay code refers to the gradual breakdown of things. Think about the process of aging. Our bodies change, our appearance shifts, and eventually we face our own mortality. But decay also happens on a more subtle level. Every idea, every project, every relationship goes through phases of growth, maintenance, and then eventual decline. This isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's a necessary part of the cycle. Without decay, there would be no room for renewal, no opportunity for growth. It's this constant ebb and flow between creation and destruction that keeps the world moving forward. Without decay, we would never experience the beauty of rebirth or the power of transformation. In the natural world, decay is how nature makes space for new growth. Fallen leaves decompose into the soil, nourishing the earth and providing the foundation for new life. Similarly, in human life, When one chapter closes, another begins. Our memories may fade over time, but they leave behind the experiences and lessons that shape who we are. The Decay Code is a reminder that while things may break down, they often do so with purpose. Everything that decays also leaves something behind, whether it's a lesson, a memory, or a pathway for something new to emerge. However, what happens when the Decay Code is ignored? When we resist the natural progression of breakdowns and shifts, we find ourselves holding on to things that no longer serve us, whether that's relationships, material possessions, or outdated ideas. The fear of decay can cause us to cling to what we know, refusing to let go and allowing the space for growth and change. But by understanding and accepting the Decay Code, we can move more fluidly through life, letting go when necessary, and embracing the new. Decay also teaches us about impermanence. Everything is temporary, and yet so often we try to hold on to things forever, whether it's the youthful appearance we desperately try to preserve, or the pursuit of perfection in our work or relationships. Decay reminds us that nothing lasts forever. This might seem like a sad truth, but in reality, it's liberating. The more we embrace the decay of things, the more freedom we give ourselves to let go, adapt, and reinvent our lives. It's the acceptance of decay that allows us to live fully, knowing that nothing is permanent and that the best we can do is make the most of the present moment. By understanding the Decay Code, we can shift our perspective on life. Instead of fearing change, we learn to embrace it. Instead of fighting against the natural process of breakdown, we start to recognize the beauty in it. The beauty in decay, in transformation, and in renewal. The decay of the old makes room for the new. The breaking down of one thing creates space for another to emerge. And in this process, we find growth, understanding, and the ultimate power to transform ourselves. This code encourages us to look at the cycles in our lives, to find peace in impermanence, and to allow things to fall away naturally when their time is up. It's this organic process of change, decline, and transformation that ensures progress and innovation. It's like a tree shedding its leaves each autumn, not because it's dying, but because it's preparing for new growth. Without decay, there is no space for the future to take root. So, the next time something in your life fades, remember that it's part of a larger natural cycle. Something new is waiting to emerge. The identity glitch code. Imagine you wake up one day and look in the mirror, but something feels off. The reflection staring back at you seems familiar, yet unfamiliar at the same time. You are the same person, but for a moment, you question everything. Your life, your choices, your very sense of self. This is what the identity glitch code is all about. Those moments when you suddenly feel disconnected from the person you've always thought you were. It's as if your identity, which you've carefully constructed over the years, glitches like computer program, leaving you to question what is truly real about yourself. The identity glitch code reveals a hidden truth. Our identities are not as stable as we might think. We build our sense of self through memories, experiences, and labels, but these are not permanent fixtures. As we evolve, so does our sense of who we are. Sometimes, this evolution happens so slowly that we don't notice it. Other times, it happens abruptly, leaving us disoriented and uncertain. Our perception of ourselves is constantly being shaped by external factors, society's expectations, relationships, our environment. And yet, we rarely take a moment to question whether these things truly define us. Think about how often you've looked back at an old photograph or an old journal entry and felt disconnected from that version of yourself. You may have even wondered how you ever thought the way you did or made the choices you made. The person you were then feels like a stranger, even though they're a part of you. This is the essence of the identity glitch code, the realization that your identity is a constantly shifting entity. You are not a fixed version of yourself. You are a collection of experiences, memories, and decisions that are in constant flux. And with this comes the question, who are you really? This glitch can occur when we experience significant life changes, like moving to a new city, ending a relationship, or starting a new career. In these moments, we are forced to confront the gap between who we were and who we're becoming. The disconnect between our past self and our present self can feel disorienting, but it also offers an opportunity for growth. It's as if you are given the chance to reinvent yourself, to shed the layers of old beliefs and behaviors, and emerge as a new version of you. However, the identity glitch code isn't always about growth. It can also make us feel lost or uncertain, as if we are wandering through life without a clear sense of direction. In those moments, we may feel like we're drifting through an existence that isn't truly ours. We may find ourselves playing roles that no longer fit, or holding on to labels that no longer serve us. The glitch isn't always a smooth transition. It can be messy, confusing, and uncomfortable. But in these moments of discomfort, there is immense potential for self-discovery. You are not bound to the person you were yesterday. You are constantly evolving, and the glitch is a reminder that you are more fluid, more adaptable, and more capable than you realize. This is also where the concept of authenticity comes into play. We often talk about being true to ourselves, but the identity glitch code challenges this notion. How can we truly be authentic if our identities are constantly shifting? Perhaps the key is to accept that authenticity doesn't mean being stuck in one version of ourselves. It means being in alignment with the ever-changing nature of who we are. Authenticity lies in embracing the process of transformation, not in holding on to a fixed, static identity. The identity glitch code also teaches us about the power of reinvention. Every time you encounter a glitch, you have the opportunity to redefine yourself, to step into a new role, a new mindset, and a new version of who you are. The glitch may feel uncomfortable, but it's also an invitation to let go of the past and step into the unknown future. You are not your past mistakes, your old beliefs, or the person you used to be. The glitch reminds you that you have the power to change, to adapt, and to create a new version of yourself at any given moment. In the end, the identity glitch code isn't just about confusion or uncertainty. It's about freedom. It's about breaking free from the constraints of a fixed identity and embracing the fluidity of who we can become. The glitch is not a failure. It's an opportunity. When you experience an identity glitch, take it as a sign that you are evolving, growing, and transforming into a more authentic version of yourself. And with each glitch, you come closer to discovering the truth of who you are. The last frame code. Imagine watching your life like a movie. Each moment is a scene. Every choice you make a pivotal part of the plot. The film is unfolding, and you're the protagonist, directing your own journey. But then, as you approach the end, you realize something unsettling. What if this movie has already been filmed? The last frame code is the paradoxical concept that the end of your life is already decided, and it's only a matter of time before the final scene plays out. This is not about fate or destiny, but the notion that the last frame of your life is inevitable. It's a deep, unsettling thought. No matter what you do, no matter how much you try to rewrite your story, the conclusion might already be encoded in the very fabric of your existence. This idea stirs up the question, is everything leading you toward a predetermined ending, or is your life truly a series of spontaneous events? Think about it. Every time you make a decision, it feels like you're moving forward, creating your future. You may have dreams, plans, ambitions, but how much of your life is actually within your control? The last frame code suggests that we live under the illusion of free will, while the conclusion to our life may already be set in motion, waiting for us at the end of the film. The choices you make could simply be steps on a path that was already written. And perhaps the end you fear is only a formality in an existence that has already been predetermined. This paradox plays with the idea of predestination versus free will. While it's tempting to believe that we have control over our lives, the last frame code suggests that the trajectory of our existence might be laid out far ahead of us. Imagine being in a movie where you don't know how it ends. Every scene feels as if it's leading towards something inevitable. Is it comforting to know that everything might be part of a grand design, or does it make you feel helpless, as if your choices are mere illusions? The unsettling nature of the last frame code lies in its implications. If the last frame is already there, waiting for you, does anything you do truly matter? Is the journey to that final scene just as important as the destination? Some might argue that it's the moments, the choices, and the experiences along the way that shape who we are, not the destination itself. But others might find solace in the idea that their lives have a purpose, that each step they take is moving them toward an inevitable end, perhaps even one that holds greater meaning than they realize. As you live your life, there are countless moments that feel significant. Some are joyful, others painful. But at some point, whether you are consciously aware of it or not, you are moving toward that final frame, the conclusion of your story. And this thought raises another paradox. If your life's final moment is already determined, how do you live knowing that the end is already written? What makes the last frame code so thought-provoking is its invitation to reflect on the nature of existence itself. Are we simply actors in a film, or is life more than that? Are we really in control, or is our reality shaped by forces beyond our comprehension? This paradox forces us to ask deep philosophical questions about our own existence, about the meaning of life, and about whether our stories are really ours to tell. However, it's also important to consider that even if our last frame is predetermined, it doesn't mean that the film itself is without value. Every moment, every choice, every scene may still hold meaning. Even if we are heading toward a set conclusion, the journey we take to get there could still be filled with purpose, beauty, and depth. Maybe in the end, it's not about the destination at all. It's about how we experience the journey. The last frame code ultimately challenges our perceptions of time, fate, and free will. It invites us to question how much we control, how much we're subject to, and what it means to truly live in the present moment. So, when you look at your life, remember that the movie is unfolding and the final frame is waiting for you. The question is, how will you live knowing that the ending is out there, just beyond your reach?